Welcome everyone to the AIASF Mentorship Program Kickoff for 2021. This is our first event of the year. First off, my name is Brandon Neukkelt. I'm serving as co-chair for the committee this year, and I'm an architectural designer. I practice in the Bay Area, currently live in Oakland, and exploring my own creative projects with my firm Studio Tempest Design right now. But to give you an idea of what we're going to do tonight, first, this is the event where we really reach out to the architecture community, invite them in to see what we're up to here in mentorship. We have some exciting speakers later on. We'll also have introductions of most of our committee members, and they'll give us a breakdown of what they've done, some of their own experiences in the mentorship group, and what to expect for 2021. We have, with this event, we're sort of breaking down the idea of what mentorship is, rallying around that cause and how that can really play a big part in your professional development, either as a mentor or as a mentee. It's a sort of a win-win situation in my mind. So we'll have some presentations, some videos, and some personal stories of how this has impacted people's careers. Okay, so I'd like to take a minute to allow our committee members to introduce themselves and also speak to their own experiences with the mentorship committee, and also some of their personal interest here. So to kick it off, let's go with Jean. She's the chair for a mentorship committee for 2021, and it's all yours.
Thanks, Brandon. Hi, everyone. My name is Jean Liu. I'm a designer and project architect at EHDD, and also chair for the mentorship committee. So mentorship committee has a long history. Our group mentorship program was launched 13 years ago and has in the past, mentorship program is typically a small and tight group, around 5 to 6 people with mixed level of professional experience. The groups were led by seasoned professionals. They met on their own schedule once a month. Mentorship committee helped to organize these groups at the beginning of the year and then host a series of content events later so these groups can participate. So last year, sheltering in place changed everything. Not to be able to meet in person forced us to think about mentorship in a different way. In order to continue to promote networking opportunities and create a collaborative learning environment, we organized various online discussion events with topics such as equity, diversity, and inclusion, Black Lives Matter, and journey to entrepreneurship. So, now, tell us about you. Have you attended our events before, or were you part of the mentorship group? I was going to say we're about half and half, but I see that there's more that is already part of mentor group and mentorship committee in this event. Good to see you again. So do you have a mentor? And are you guys actively engaged? Great. Well, I hope mentorship committee can help you guys find a mentor for those who answered no. Okay, so what is it that you're looking for in the mentorship? So I want to tell you about this year, what the mentorship committee are going to do. We aim to combine the mentorship group program, which I described in the beginning, and the discussion events from last year to form the mentorship exchange. We'll host the same program 4 times this year, each time led by different group leaders. So each time, we call it each season, has 2 events. Part 1 is an introduction, where group leaders talk briefly about their topic of interest and meet other attendees. Part 2 is a more conversational and a deeper dive into the topics. We'll collect and share contact information of all participants within each event. And we hope these events can generate connection to build bridges with mentees and mentor, as well as stimulate compelling conversations and promote collaborative learning. So the spring season is now open for registration. So March 25th and April 13th are the 2 dates for the season. And then we'll have 3 group leaders. You can register on the AIASF website. Just go to their calendars and then look for these 2 dates and it will pop up. So it starts at 5:30 p.m. It's online via Zoom. One of the group leader is Thomas Barham, FAIA. He's the hospitality student leader and senior associate at Gensler. His topic is the business of design. Another group leader is Kadia McLean, AIA. She's the principal at Stenberg Hart. Her topic is architecture for higher education. And we have Andrew Wolfen, AIA, principal at TEF Design. He will talk about adaptive reuse. So tell your friends about it, tell your colleagues about it. Hope to see you all there. And back to Brendan.
Thank you, Jean. As you can see, we've got a lot planned for this year, and I hope all of you can make it to 1 or 2 of those events at least. So I'd like to take the next moment to introduce Roland Lau, a longtime member of the mentorship committee, and really just a great guy to talk to if you get a chance. So Roland, it's all up to you.
Okay, thank you, Brandon and Jing. I've been a member. I have my own. When I joined the committee, I was assigned a group, and that's how I became a mentor with that group. It's a group mentorship program, as Jing mentioned earlier, and it's like I put on the cartoon. It's not just about how we are trying to be making other people like ourselves, as much as learning what others can teach us in a group mentorship program. And that's why they have different levels. So, and I'm very involved in the mentorship program and in doing many things. And there's nothing that really will prevent you from doing whatever you want in your group. I mean, it's pretty much, can you go to the next slide, Jing? So in my mentorship group, it was very, very active. We were meeting about 2 or 3 times a month sometimes. And they're just very diverse, and they just wanted to do a lot of things. One of the activities that we did was we went to New York City for the AIA convention, and we invited other people in the mentorship program to join us. And we had an activity almost every day at the AIA in the evening. But the whole thing about that is really just meeting with other people who are in the same, have common interests, and then being there to help out if they have any questions or whatever. So like I mentioned, common interests. Our common interest really is architecture primarily, and that's why this program is sponsored by the AIASF. And so from that spins off many activities. Like this one just happens to be from one of the houses in the AIA home tours that our group and the program actually provides docent services as part of helping out the program to help others visit homes that are really noteworthy and very high end in the cutting edge of architecture. And so it's just that sort of thing, and hanging out with each other. Next slide, please. And so part of it is like, the question that they asked me to ask was, how did you find those you mentor? Well, in the group mentorship program, it's really, each person is a mentor in a sense, besides being a mentee. even I am a mentee to those who are in the group, whether they're younger or older, because there are things that we can learn from younger people, and things that they can learn from us who have more experience. And so, as far as assigning the groups, that is really out of our hands. It was done by the committee through the surveys that were done, and then they were assigned. In this particular situation here, I, being on the committee, and also was a coach to this group. Michael Willis was the senior seasoned professional, and really great guy, and he just knows a lot and has a lot of history in starting his own office. And I don't know if you can see my pointer. You probably can't see my pointer, but that thing about is what I like about the mentorship is that just learning about other people's lives and their struggles in the profession, and how he made it as a black architect, starting in the profession. There's very few of them, as you know, um, and as like 1%, a little over 1% maybe, in all the architecture of all registered architectures, that is, in the U.S. And so it provides interest to younger architects in how they can grow into profession and learn from others. And then for him, for Michael himself, I'm sure he learned things from the younger professionals. What I like about this is that it appears that what it really helps us as individuals to is that we are first open to learning from others, and knowing that we can also share things that they might be able to learn from us. And so it's a two-way street.
Like it's a back and forth. Yeah.
Right. So, as Jing mentioned, in 2020, we went virtual. So here's just a slide from one of the events that our group sponsored at the end of the year. Um, and it was just getting to know what everybody was doing during the pandemic. And during that time, we actually shared, we asked people to share things that they did, and they actually made it's like a pachucacha, where each person had maybe 5-10 minutes to share about what they experienced, and they showed slides or videos, and it was very interesting because we had Americos told us about how he grew up in Puerto Rico, and his showed us his family, and Dan showed about how his trip to Romania and how architecture was there and about his family, and so it's, and Tim showed his videos on images that come to life and how inspiring it was. And Mark, who's not on the picture there because he stepped away, talked about Mars. He's a student at um, CCA. So the thing about mentorship, it doesn't stop. Even though we can't meet face to face, we have been able to survive through meeting by Zoom. And sometimes we do meet face to face, but we keep 6 feet distance. And that was usually on an individual basis of just touching base for a short time. So that's what mentorship is all about. You just have to make do with the situation you're put in. Next slide, please, Jane. So also in mentorship, we have given back by, and this one was Judy, who's in the white T-shirt. It's in front of her house in the Sunset, where she asked us to join her neighborhood in planting trees for the Friends for the Urban Forest program. So those that volunteered came over. We planted a bunch of trees with other people in that group, and then we had a potluck at her home, uh, which is behind us. So it's also giving back, in other words, and we form a common thread through that mentorship. Next, please. And then here, a lot of times we try to meet in people's homes, like Judy's in my home, for different events, and bonding through that uh, occurs by just doing things together. And it really helps because a lot of times the spouses um, join the person in the mentorship group, which is fine. So we get to know a lot of the spouses and their whole family. Sometimes they bring their kids with them, and we've really become closer through the years. And my group has probably been meeting for what, 5 years or more, I would say, and it just forms groups or friendships that you'll maintain for the lifetime, probably, if you become involved in the mentorship program. And I would encourage you to do so.
Well, I think we can move to the next slide, and so that's actually me. So how does the mentorship committee build these connections? How can we foster these connections with you? And Roland went over a lot of the programs that we, oh, the feedback. A lot of the ways that we reach out to you and get you involved. He and I both participated in this diversity, equity, and inclusivity conversation and hosted talks with speakers who were, very authoritative on the movement and getting that moving forward. And it was a very lively conversation, I'd say. Had a great turnout for both events. And we hope to host more of those types of events this year. Then on the other side, flip side of that, we have social events, which, no one's really able to head out to the bar, go to the restaurant, or at least not as often. So we have events like our social bingo night, movie night, which still in its infancy, but hopefully we're going to have another movie showing this year in 2021. And then of course there's building site tours, other in-person events that can be held safely. I know that was a big hit, especially the around the new development with the new park tour. The name's escaping me right now. I haven't been to downtown San Francisco in such a long time, but all near the new towers and the raised park level. We still actually have virtual studio tours, similar to what BIA might have. I don't know if anyone is also a member of that, but we are looking to host some joint events there. But more, it's just creating ways for you to gather, to start conversations. And definitely we want you to take the initiative on your own to, if you find someone interesting in a meeting, to reach out to them, to feel comfortable with it. I think in the virtual working from home moment, we actually have an opportunity to approach people that maybe we might not feel as ready to do in person. It sort of cuts out that awkward, hanging around the coffee pot to, talk to someone sort of situation. It's very low pressure, I think. And so in mentorship, we mostly try to promote those ideas, even events for groups to hold on their own. So if there's a museum exhibit like what Roland mentioned, we might post that in a forum or in our newsletter, and say, hey, get your group and check this out and talk about it. But it's giving those moments. It's those moments between, after, before those events where you're on the line with someone that you want to know more from or more about. That's when these mentorship connections, I feel like, really begin to start to blossom there. And out of everything, it's a really organic process, in my opinion. You really can't force it. So that's, I think, the best that we can do as a group is to offer these opportunities and to invite everyone to join us who's interested. So hopefully we'll have plenty of events that allow you to do this in 2021. I'm still crossing my fingers that we'll have an in-person event by the end of the year. I don't know, maybe beginning of next year. We have an annual celebration that we haven't been able to hold due to COVID-19, but that might be next January. We'll see what's in the cards. So I think let's move to the next slide, G.
Well, good day, everybody. So happy to be here. Actually, just was thinking that pre-COVID, we used to have this kickoff meeting. It was more like a party. And well, good evening, everyone. My name is Manuel, and I'm the Parking Day coordinator. I got this question: how do you connect to community? Well, I think the mentorship group give us a great opportunity to connect with our community in our cities, our neighborhoods, not only, but also with the industry, right? Design, construction, architecture. Because we, as Brandon was mentioning, we have a lot of events that are related to those fields. And these events are either from the AIA or other organizations, or events that are organized within the groups. When I see which ways I connect through my community and with my community, through the mentorship group, is essentially, you know, like I was saying, engaging with my neighbors, community associations, volunteering in local events, or advocating for causes that are enhance our architectural environment. And here, for example, we have Parking Day, where we get together as a group, or different mentorship groups get together, and we develop a installation. Excuse me. Parking Day is installation for one day. They use a parking spot anywhere in the city. And essentially the idea is to reclaim public space from that is being designed initially for automobiles to pedestrians. Other ways to engage with my community through the mentorship group is, like, for example, when we have our happy hours, or if we get together as a group, we go to restaurants, coffee shops, or bars, and while we're having fun, we also talk about important topics, right? About architecture or career goals, different scenarios, different things. Another way that I see connecting, that the mentorship group helps me to connect to my community, is to living my city, appreciating the structures, the streets, the plazas, the parks, right? Visiting, like Brandon also mentioned it already, museums, architectural attractions. For example, we talk about San Francisco, I don't know, the streets, the hidden streets that we have throughout the city, or even going to new architectural developments. Sometimes we go visit these places, these structures, these buildings, even before they are open to the public, like hospitals, multifamily projects, senior centers, etc. One way that actually directly we've been participating in the community is through the AIA home tours that they have in September, the AIA home tours in San Francisco. And as a group, we usually, participate in one of the homes and a volunteer there. So the mentorship group, I think it definitely give us a lot of opportunity to engage with the community. Yeah, so I encourage for the new people to join us, because this is a really great opportunity.
Yep. Parking Day is usually been a very exciting day. It's part of the architecture in the city. It has had to have a bit of a transformation as of late. There was a virtual version of it last year, and It may end up being virtual again this year, but again, some very interesting ways to get involved. So next we have one of our newest member, Aditi. She's going to speak on a few topics, and I'll let her take it from here.
Thanks, Brandon. So if you're wondering like who can join this mentorship group, I am new to this group as well, and I just happened to really like the topic of one of their presentations, and I immediately was like involved, and we were like interactive, and we did a lot of like social media discussions, started a group on LinkedIn, and it's been very nice to just like get out there and like meet people from different industries of architecture and everything. So honestly, if anyone with an interest in becoming a part of our community can join, we have events going on throughout the year, so you can be as involved as you like with us. Do you have to be a registered member with AIASF? For the most part, no, but AIASF does offer a lot of benefits because there are tons of events and resources throughout the year. You can meet a lot of people. There are like a lot of networking events, a lot of like design shows and things like that that you could like participate in. So having a membership with the AIASF would be super beneficial. The other question could be, what if I'm moving from another industry or career? I think it's all the more reason to join because starting out from another industry, if you have questions and concerns that you'd like to talk to someone, since, you know, like you can see there are people from different levels, like there are like mid-sized, there are like emerging professionals, there are people who've been here for more than 15 years and all the seasoned architects. All of us could help each other out answering our questions and concerns, and it would be great to have people from different industries to be moving into the architecture path as well. So it would be a great idea to join.
Thanks, Aditi. It's great to hear from new members who jump right into you know, being active. We can definitely use anyone who'd really like to play a part. We've got lots of room and lots of good ideas that we could implement that way. So we'll introduce Peter Mueller, another experienced professional with the Mentorship Committee. Peter, take it off.
Hi, thank you, Brandon. So the question I'm addressing is how mentorship groups and the mentorship program fit into the AIASF organization. And it has always been a key part in really recruiting and establishing people within the chapter as active members, which is really how you get the most out of membership, is by being active. You get so much more back for the money that you pay. And aside from, you know, the activities of other groups, you know, that you can take part in when they happen to come up and you see them, and doing that together, maybe with a mentorship group. There's also a long history with BIA, at least, for intercommittee migration and collaboration. So many of the mentorship committee's members were previously with BIA, and that always gives us, you know, a lot of fresh ideas and new things. So that's a great dynamic. But there's also, especially lately, there's a lot of new committees that people can get involved in beyond mentorship. And, you know, that includes recently formed committees like International Practice Committee, which is going into its second year. Professional Practice Committee has been around about 4 years. And the Urban Design Committee, also going into its second year, with very dynamic and, you know, motivated members involved. These are all great things to collaborate with their events. And in fact, there's, you know, a lot of connections between these committees, and a lot of collaborative events have already occurred. So For example, we did a parklets tour event with where Mentorship invited the Urban Design Committee to have people come in and talk about their online program that was in the beginning of the pandemic. And one of the first online activities that came up where a map, Urban Design Committee borrowed a map from the planning department, a parklet map, and created this online place to create tours and make observations and postings. And that then Manuel tagged along on that map and created the virtual parking day program as another layer on that map. And Manuel's an excellent example of how people migrate between committees. And I helped the founders of Urban Design Committee, helped them found that and get it off the ground. And then people like Dan and Manuel signed on and have helped bring programs like Parking Day that originated in San Francisco and was originally for many years strongly supported by a mentorship committee, including Jing and other past directors who did great work with that. And Manuel was able to help bring that to the Urban Design Committee, where they can add their expertise as well. And this year, branching out internationally as well with the International Committee. So really great dynamics and migrations happening there that, we still, just for example, that success led to the public shore treasure hunt, which is built on a separate Google My Map platform, but same formula as the others. And that is a collaboration between the Urban Design Committee and the International Practice Committee. I will say that the most participants in the within the map are members of the Mentorship Committee, and one of them won the prize at the symposium last week for the participation prize. So great interaction happening there, and lots of other committees out there as well. These are just some examples. But in many ways, the Mentorship Committee provides a stepping stone through your mentorship groups and other mentorship connections into other committees that are within your area of expertise or interest. So I encourage you guys to keep your eyes open, ask questions, and look for opportunities to collaborate whenever you can. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and I think in the past, each year we'll collaborate with different organizations as well on our different events. So we don't have any planned this year yet. That's why we're looking for collaboration with other organizations. So if you know anyone who's interested, who wants to work with us and collaborate, so let us know.
We have a speaker here with us, so she's a business strategy consultant trained in architecture and business management with expertise in marketing, communications, and leadership development. And she founded Apostrophe Consulting, it's a cool name, with a goal of helping architecture firms win more work, build a culture of leadership and trust within the design studio, and create a pipeline for emerging leaders to grow in our industry. And that leads straight to mentorship. And there I will give the mic over to her.
Great. First of all, whoever reached out, thank you very much for inviting me. It's an honor to be here tonight with you all. I see a lot of familiar faces and names. It's so nice to see you guys. And also I wanted to give a shout out to some of the leaders for the spring cohort that's going to go together. Thomas and Andrew are both friends, and they are both wonderful mentors. So you guys can look forward to some good conversations in those groups. So as Brandon mentioned, my name's Janine, and I have founded a consulting business that's based off of all my experience and training in architecture. I also run a podcast. If some of you may have seen my name, I'm co-hosting that with Evelyn Lee, who's also based out of the Bay Area. It's called Practice Disrupted. And when I started my career in architecture, I was out in the Bay Area. I was around 25 and I was new to the community, and I was trying to learn about architecture and trying to figure out how to get into my career. And I felt like being in San Francisco City, and there's so many people there, the community is very tight knit. And I was feeling a little lost at the time, not to mention that there was also a recession going on. So that was kind of how I made my way into the mentorship committee. But a friend, Alex, invited me and I joined. And so I spent several years working on the committee, and I worked with Peter and Archie and others. And I also participated in a mentorship group that led to me getting a job at Quan Hemney Architects under the leadership of Dennis Henme and Sylvia Kwan. So I would say that a few takeaways that I got from this experience was definitely building that connection to community, but also building, like they said, a family or a community of peers and friends who were at different points in their careers. And that really was very insightful for my own career development. So that experience not only prompted my research into mentorship, but fed into my passion for learning and exploring new things. I really took those ideas forward and was inspired by the experience. And so mentorship has shown up time and time again in my career, and it's also a part of my business that I do. So I wanted to share some of my research on mentorship that I've been doing professionally with firms like Kieran Timberlake and others to talk about mentorship at the firm level and share a couple of ideas. So, okay, so you might see a couple of familiar faces in there. I actually use the AIA San Francisco mentorship program as one of my case studies when I'm talking with architects about mentorship models. And the reason this is such a great model is because the way it's designed is an intentional effort to bring people with different career levels and experiences together to talk about challenges and opportunities in the profession that you might have different points of view at different points in your career. So the model was actually adopted by Grace Kim's laddership model, which she used as a peer mentoring group out of Seattle. And I think the San Francisco team has elevated it, and it's even been inspiration for other AIA components, including Philadelphia, to adopt similar strategies. But as you know, teams are structured around different career points. There's a really core component to this model, which is this two-way mentoring between participants, which I think is a very important thing to understand about the value that you gain by joining this group. In the past, we used speed dating to help match people up. That was a very vivid memory, and hopefully one day I think that experience might come back in a post-COVID world. But ultimately, when you're teamed up with your group, the groups really set the goals for the year and help form the basis of the conversations that you guys have. So I wanted to talk about 5 key strategies for mentees who are maybe starting out in the process. And an important thing that came up tonight that I want you guys to remember is that when you're in this cohort, you may be a mentee or a mentor at any given point. So it's important to think about how that shows up in different conversations. So even if you're starting out, even if you're at the beginning of your career, you may be a mentee, but there are going to be opportunities for you to mentor too. So those 5 ideas for mentees, I think the most important one, and this is particularly important in studio, is to ask questions, because you need to recognize that everybody struggles. When you're trying to become an architect, it's a long process and there are going to be so many questions along the way. So you have to get comfortable speaking up and asking questions. Number 2, it's important to get out of your comfort zone. The only way you're going to grow is through discomfort and leaning into the things that you're not good at. I remember I got assigned doing waterproofing details, and it was maybe one of the least favorite things that I was looking forward to in my new job as a designer. But after spending time working on them and working with the waterproofing consultant, I gained so much from that experience that now waterproofing details aren't such a bad thing. I'll gladly sit down and think about them. But that self-growth is part of the process in addition to the design and technical skills that you're gaining as an architect. So number 3, it's important to focus on growth. You need to look at the growth process as a process, and there's value through that process. Number 4, there's an important skill that you can work on, which is to build self-awareness. It's really important to observe yourself and to see where you have opportunities for growth. Sometimes this comes back through feedback from your peers and your mentors, but it's also important to recognize it in yourself when there are opportunities. And number 5 is to question yourself. So oftentimes we just see the world through our perspective, and where you can really find growth and learning experiences is looking through the lens for your blind spots. So in context to becoming both a mentor and mentee, I wanted to share this idea about direct and indirect mentoring, because especially in a virtual world, we're looking for creative ways to foster those conversations. Indirect mentoring is very informal. It can be as simple as getting a Slack message from somebody, having a 10-minute coffee break in between meetings, hanging out after work and just having a conversation. It's really about that informal and frequent communication. Like the committee said, they got to know each other outside of the program and became friends. And that, I think, is where mentorship really shines. It's about getting to know one another. Direct mentoring might be a little bit more formal. It might be a scheduled lunch, or you're sitting down and having a more direct conversation and specifically talking about the challenges that you're having either on a project or maybe in your office. But I think a really key important point when you are participating in direct mentoring conversations is it's important to listen and not to impose your own ideas, needs, and goals on someone else. The process of mentoring is about listening and hearing what the problems are, and then helping someone navigate through solutions. The other idea I want to leave you with tonight is this idea of making people feel seen. So often in architecture studios, I think we're heads down, we're working really hard, we've got deadlines, and it's easy to forget that we have to maintain that human connection with one another and really support each other. So things that you can practice in your work setting and even in your mentor groups, positive feedback is essential. So often we're used to our critique culture where we are giving feedback about how to improve things. But every once in a while, it's good to throw in positive reinforcement too about things that build people up. Point out where you see people making contributions that matter, or if they went out of their way and they did something right, show up and celebrate that. That makes a huge difference. As a mentor, ultimately, what you're trying to help someone figure out is where their strengths are, what makes them unique, and helping them align those strengths with opportunities that will help them have a successful career and enjoy being in architecture, enjoy their career in getting through this process. So the last idea I just want to close with is an idea of, as designers, it's important that we think about designing a culture of mentorship, not only in these mentorship groups, but in our offices. And mentorship is about raising others to a higher level. It's about continuous improvement. And it's important to realize that mentorship impacts everything in your studio. So integrating it into these conversations on your teamwork is so essential. So thank you guys so much for letting me share a few ideas tonight. And if you guys have questions, I'd be happy to answer them. Peter, if you want me to tell a specific story, go ahead and prompt me. I'm all ears.
Thank you, Janine. That's great. It's obviously you've got a very thorough understanding of mentorship, and I'm glad that it resonates a lot with what I understand it to be. If you have any other random story you want to show, you can throw that in. If not, we can also take stories from some of our other participants tonight. If you are interested, just put your name in the chat, and I can call on you. Let's take this opportunity to begin sharing with one another. I think that would be a great way to sort of wrap up tonight. So I'll leave a few minutes for people to jump into that chat.
Janine, thanks. That was a great talk, and a lot of great old history from the old structures. And I really appreciate everything that you were doing for us back then, and also new ideas and outreach at the California level. And so thank you. And I also want to mention for people here that the committee has constantly evolved, and our new leaders, Jing and Brandon, and several people that work with them have really adapted to the needs of the pandemic. And so I'm constantly amazed at how quickly the committee is able to respond. So a big thanks to the committee leadership as well, but I want to let other people talk. Go ahead.
It would be nice to hear from some people who have joined us, who are thinking of joining, and maybe they can introduce themselves if they're willing to.
Yeah, I think that'd be great. Let's see, I see Jan Yu on there. You want to introduce yourself? Or?
It's fantastic to join this mentorship group. I'm from Toronto, and I recently moved to San Francisco. Just recently graduated with a master's in architecture, so looking for work, and it's exciting to be here and meet new faces.
My name is BJ, and I graduated with my master's in architecture in 2008. But as you all know, that was a bad time to graduate in architecture. So I've been working for the Lighthouse for the Blind for the last about 10 years or so, working on making maps and floor plans and tactile graphics for people who are blind or low vision. But I'm looking to get back into architecture, and I'm looking to reconnect with my architectural roots.
Hi Brandon. Hi everybody. I'm Melanie. I'm based here in San Francisco. I joined the mentorship group for a bit a few years ago, and then I left the country temporarily for immigration reasons, and I moved back to the US last year. So I'm happy to be back, but I moved right before COVID. So it was a godsend in a way that I didn't get held up further due to immigration, but it was only just a few weeks before lockdown. So I felt very isolated from the usual AIA community. And, the only architects that I interact with are people I work with. So I miss having an extended community. I remember I have very fond memories of going down to 130 Sutter after work for a happy hour, or classes, or ARE classes, or chatting with Roland. So I'm very happy to see everybody, and good job on the presentation, Jeanette. I learned quite a bit. It helped me reflect on some things I do at work, and like indirect versus direct mentoring. So I'm last plug, I'm looking to see if I can find a mentor that has sort of like science and technology background or experience that is not with my firm, and someone outside my firm whom I can talk to about those kinds of projects, science and technology. So let me know if you know anybody. Thank
Also,
you.
to let you guys know, Melanie is also part of the architectural license committee, and she's our NCARB liaison. So if anybody is trying to get licensed and has questions on dealing with NCARB, you can talk to her.
Absolutely.
And also, just so that you know, there's going to be a simulcast with NCARB and the CAB on the 9th. It's a Tuesday night. You can sign up on the AIA probably in a couple of days, and we're gonna it's a live event, so you can hear more about what's happening in that realm. And we'll be starting the ARE classes probably a couple of weeks after that.
Hi, I'm Rishin. I am getting my master's degree in architecture this coming May, and I am designing a roundhouse in Brisbane. And that's my side. That's why I want to have a mentor to know more about San Francisco, their culture, and proceed with my design. So yes.
Oh, great. You came to the right place.
Yeah, happy to join you.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
Yeah, hi, my name is Margarita. I'm from Russia originally, and I've been leading my own design studio for the last few years. But since we moved here, I feel a little bit lost. I'm trying to grab every piece of information that I can. So this meeting was very useful for me. Thank you. I think I will continue with your organization and programs. Thank you for the information.
Sure. I'd say we have an international practice committee. Peter, is that something you involved with?
Yeah, I'm the current chair of International Practice Committee, and meets on the third Wednesday. I'll send you a message, and you're welcome to drop in on that and see what's going on. So I'll just chat through now. Actually, if you follow I'll give you a link to them, which is us. So you can do that. All right.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm Laurie Friedman. I am an architect. I've been practicing for over 30 years, licensed for over 30 years, and I teach at UC Berkeley Extension, architecture, interior design. I have been teaching architecture and engineering at Redwood High School for a few years. And then I maintain my own practice. I've been, I guess, would be my 4th year technically, being in the program as a mentor. However, it was really only for 2 years that I managed to have a group, and then last year was sort of a bust with, I guess we got together like, I think a week or so before, it was like one of my last social outings before lockdown. But my groups have done some really interesting activities. My first group was a group of emerging young women who were not licensed yet, and they were at sort of the beginnings of their professions. And we went to the transit center before it closed down, like a week before, and we did a few other things around town. And it was just so wonderful to have that camaraderie, and it was just very uplifting. The second year, I had a group of students who actually were invited to become part of a jury for my high school advanced architecture class for their final project. So that was pretty cool. But I found it somewhat difficult because being in Marin and people in my groups were like all over the place the second year, that to find a place and a time when everyone was really busy, was fairly challenging to do. So I'm hoping to eventually get into a group where we do have those regular get-togethers.
Hello, everyone. My name is Aleli. I'm from El Salvador in Central America. I moved to the US 2.5 years ago. And since then, I started working in an architectural firm. And I started to feel like one of the participants said, that I started to feel like isolated, like it was just here on my own, and I wanted to find more people in my field and started to networking, and that's how I ended up here in the mentorship committee. And yeah, it's been a pretty great experience. Thanks to them, I have met a lot of people. I am even part of the architecture, construction, and engineering mentor group now. I've been meeting a lot of mentors there. So yeah, it's a great group, and I guess I'm glad that I joined.
Hi, my name is Keenan, Keenan. I have been in the Bay Area for a couple of years. I was in New York before this. I'm a student who will graduate this year. Laurie is actually one of my teachers. Hi, Laurie. My background is primarily in residential interior design. That's what I did in New York for a long time. Moving out here, I thought that I would do the certificate program at Berkeley Extension. So I'm coming up on the end of that and starting to look for work. And I still don't really have any kind of network out here. So I thought it would be good to pop in.
Hi, I'm Zoe. I live in Oakland. I did urban studies at UC Berkeley a couple years ago, but then I started working in real estate, like more like the strategy consulting side of things. But I've wanted to be like more of a designer, get back into design. So I've started taking some interior design classes, and now I have an internship with an architect, but I'm kind of trying to like network with more people in the field and kind of figure out what I want to do. And yeah, actually my parents are trying to build a house, and they're trying to figure out how to use cross-laminated timber. And since that's like kind of like a new thing, if anyone has experience with that, I'd love to hear more about it.
I was coming here to just learn more about some committees that I'm interested in. I was involved with AIA in some previous cities. I've been in the Bay Area for about 6.5 years. I run the commercial practice at William Duff Architects. And prior to that, I was in Tucson. I had my own firm. Prior to that, worked for some different places, large, small, in LA. And then I guess I'm going backwards. I'm pole planning it, as some contractors would say. I started my career, I guess, out of school, I'd say 96. But even before that, I had some internships. I went to school in the Midwest, and I just can remember, and hearing the stories tonight, there's this vast amount of stuff you go through in architecture. And I remember what it was like to, really not know what to expect. So, it's been my interest. I do mentoring in my own office. I get mentored, and it's something that's really important. I appreciate everybody that's here that's doing it, being a part of it in some realm. But it's really important to give back. So, I'm here to just learn about the group. I'm looking at some other committees too, but yeah, so nice job, everybody.
Thank you everyone too for the great insights and presentation, and thanks for hosting, Brandon. So I've been an architect for about 20 years, and I was a seasoned mentor 2 years ago, which I found very valuable. And so I'm looking forward to this year for this kickoff. And a little bit about myself. I work at BDE Architecture. I graduated from Cal Poly San Luis Obispo in 1997, and I'm just excited to be able to learn from people and to be able to share my experience. And that's about it for right now.
And I'd like to introduce Archie. He's been very active with Mentorship Group, one of our longest standing members, and also just a great person to work with on parking day and some other activities. So hand the mic over to you, Archie.
What am I to talk about? I haven't been involved for a while. I actually don't know what's been going on. So
yeah.
In terms of myself, yes, I actually been involved since I think 2013, I think. Oh, more than that actually. 9 or 10, which is out of the program, I think. So actually, yeah, it's just been a while. Yeah, I'm actually kind of interested in hearing Janine come back and talk about stuff, and I'm sure you guys have been doing a lot of fun stuff lately. So look forward to actually us being able to go back to actually having like person-to-person kind of meetings and group activities, and yeah, maybe sometime later this year we can do that.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed.
That'd definitely be great.
Yeah, and check out the new AIASF office when they're done renovating the ground floor.
Yeah, they should. Yeah, hold activities there. They should be done by then, right? I mean, later this year.
Yeah.
Yeah. We used to have a lot of activities there. All our speed matches are there. We have like parties. We have like year-end parties. We have like kind of kickoff. This used to be a party at the AIA office that we have every year to kick things off. So we're very into getting together and encouraging people to socialize and network, and that's what this committee is for, really.
Yeah, definitely. I'm looking forward to those times as well when we can connect again. Maybe we'll have that next annual party in the new headquarters. I think that'd be awesome. So
that would be fun.
I can't wait. I see Zandra. Do you want to speak for a moment?
So I guess you could say I'm a seasoned designer and always trying to evoke a passion of the discussion of what architecture means to you and to me, and how to develop and how that relationship, depending on your environment, evokes a definitely different definition within the area of where you are at. So for example, being in a dynamic city setting where I have worked and lived in New York versus San Francisco, it's very different. And so, and then being in either South America or Italy, it's also very different. And so those aspects are critical for me. My background is mostly healthcare architecture due to Mr. Roland Lau, thank you very much, being my mentor and working with him for many years. But yeah, I mean, I think this program is pretty incredible, and it does help me to not only assist, but hopefully people learn from me as well with my background and experience. So I'm hoping to connect this year, and hoping that, we stay positive and get that vaccine and everybody's up and rolling again and getting to see all the wonderful places here in the city. So maybe there is an opportunity to continue this conversation.
Yeah, hi, I'm an emerging professional. I have some work experience as a junior designer at an architecture firm, and I have a bachelor's majoring in architecture and a master's majoring in sustainable urban planning and design, and I'm currently looking for work. So I look forward to learning from all the mentors and other mentees.
Oh yeah, well that's what we're here for. I hope we can get you involved in some of our future events. And yeah, thanks, Summer. Thank you, everyone, for coming tonight.
Yeah.
Have a good night,
it's fine.
everyone. Bye.
All right. Bye.